Welcome to another episode of Educating Homebuyers, the podcast. I'm your host, Brady Hay, and my mortgage team has over 9 years of mortgage experience here in Des Moines, Iowa. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, investing, or simply just curious about the market, this show is all about helping you and future homebuyers feel informed, educated, and comfortable as you take your next step. Each week, I sit down with real estate professionals, past clients, and local experts to unpack real stories, real advice, and what you actually need to know when buying a home today. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is a seasoned real estate professional with more than a decade of experience in the industry and a multi-million-dollar producer in the Quad Cities market. She's licensed in both Iowa and Illinois and consistently ranked in the top 1% of realtors in her area. Knowing and delivering a highly attentive, client-focused service, she helps buyers and sellers and investors navigate everything from finding their ideal home to maximizing returns when selling, and she brings a practical, advisor-style approach that real homebuyers can benefit from. Sara DeWulf, welcome to Educating Homebuyers.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming over.
Yes, excited to be here.
I'm very, very excited. For context for everybody, and we just got done with Bobby's episode prior to this, but coming to town for my event that's tomorrow at the time of filming this. So first off, thank you for making the trip over. I know how busy you are, and it means a lot to me to have you guys come over and A, support the event, but more importantly, be a resource on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. We're really excited for today and tomorrow.
I love it. Well, let's start off by just giving everybody a background. Who is Sara DeWulf? Tell us about your background.
Sure. So I am born and raised in the Quad Cities. I have had my real estate license now for 16 years. I got licensed in 2010. My dad was managing broker of our previous brokerage, and so I learned quite a bit from him.
Yeah. Second generation.
Yes, second generation, yes. And he always told me that if you can create raving fans, then you won't have to buy leads. And so from very early on, I just started saying yes to everything.
Yeah. So what does that look like, saying yes? Have you learned the hard way that that's hard to navigate, or?
It can be. Over the years, I've started to get a little bit more picky, but I see a lot of agents get licensed and think, oh, it's just a $30,000 house. I'm not going to waste my time. Mm-hmm. But back when I was licensed when I was 24, and so I didn't have anything else really to do than to go.
They still sell houses for $30,000?
Yeah, I just had a closing last week for $45,000.
Good for that
person. But hey, they all add up.
Good for that person.
Yes, and it's always about the relationship for me and not the transaction. And so I think sometimes agents lose sight of that because they're looking at the one check. But the reality is some of the lowest transactions that I had early on, they all have family and friends that they have referred me. And so over and over again, or maybe they're an investor that's now bought 25 houses and I help them on the low end side and then they fix it up and we sell it. And so, just saying yes and as many reps as possible in the beginning was really important because this isn't a black and white business and it's really hard to learn.
And I think that one of the lessons I learned early on is like some of those tougher deals or like maybe the smaller unit sizes or whatever it is, those people maybe never thought it was going to be possible. And then they are so over the moon ecstatic when you pull it off that it becomes like they are your number one fan, and then they send all those friends and family, you know. And we hope that that's the case with everybody, but I think it's easier to accomplish when you pull off something that they never thought was possible. Like that is really cool.
Yeah, so. And I still love first-time home buyers so much for that reason, because the excitement and the, oh my gosh, we're going from this apartment to this house and our dog has a yard and all the things. Like I still just get so excited about helping them.
What's one thing that you've noticed in 16 years that's different today than maybe when you first started? Like it can be market related or, the process. And what's one thing that you've noticed that's really, really different from when you first started?
I would say just technology in general and social media and the way that the world has evolved, but specifically our businesses. I'm really going to date myself here, but when I first got started, we had little remotes that we had to carry around and keep them charged, and that's how you opened up the doors to get into these houses. Now, of course, it's all iPhone and Bluetooth and all of that.
Which still doesn't work very good from what I understand, right? Still struggle with that from time to time. But
technology's great till it's not.
Right.
And just the way social media has really changed what an agent can be has really, I think, been the biggest
How
thing.
long into your career did you start implementing social media and really take it more seriously as a pillar?
really right away I was using it. And I remember a lot of the older agents in the office being like, oh my gosh, look at, she's posting on Facebook or Instagram. And
it is funny to think that Facebook used to be the spot, right?
Yes.
And I don't know from your side, is it really, do you get as much traction on Facebook anymore? I still
post them, but it's not as much as it was in the beginning.
Where would you say you see most of your traction now?
Like Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. I get a lot of leads through Instagram, some through YouTube as well. I'm not as consistent on my YouTube as I should be.
YouTube, are you doing long form also, or almost exclusively short form? So the same stuff you're posting on Instagram is getting dual purposed onto YouTube?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Some different things, but usually just short form videos that are just Quad Cities based.
It's good to hear that you're getting, and especially because it's because it's area specific. I'm just always trying to be a sponge too. I'm thinking through, because I post all of this stuff on YouTube too, and I have not seen specific results that are local, like a lead or anything like that. Not saying that that's why I do this by any means, but it's good to hear that people are doing that, right? It's a firsthand, example of like clearly the database works, the software works. So
and lives there forever. So I think even if you haven't got one yet, you will.
When I imagine YouTube definitely correlates with Google SEO and everything else that goes with that. So that's kind of the motivation behind posting on it. But what does that look like from a reach out standpoint when those people see your content? What's that process look like, or how do you bridge that gap for the average buyer that reaches out to you, I guess?
Yeah, well, I always try to remind people that it's never too early to pick who the realtor is that you want to work with. And so my goal with my social media is that I want people to go to it and watch a video or feel like they're getting to know me and it's really me. And a compliment that I really like is when I go to a listing appointment and I'm nervous because maybe I'm competing or maybe I'm not, and I get there and they're like, we feel like we already know you because they've seen my videos. And I try to keep it just how I am in real life.
Of course.
So, so bridging the gap mostly is I try to remind them that even if you don't think you're going to move for a year, it doesn't hurt to start asking me questions. I'm born and raised here. I can help you with doctors, hairstylists, and everything in between, plus houses, of course, when that time comes. Yeah,
I actually, it's funny you bring that up because we, so every Monday we do a sales call. I'm sure you're familiar with John and the call that he puts on every Monday. But yesterday, on yesterday's call, one of the things we were talking about is like, how do we get maybe buyers off the sidelines, right? In today's market, it seems like that's kind of a common trend. Would be curious to hear your thoughts on that. But one of the things that I had brought up was, I think that over the last year and a half, 2 years, a lot of people have kind of entered this I'm going to wait phase. I'm just going to wait it out, see how things go and things like that. And one of the things I had brought up is like, well, okay, so if somebody made that decision to wait early or mid 2025, they probably, if there's first-time home buyers, they probably signed a 12-month lease. And so what I was encouraging our other sales staff is like, we have to be patient and realize that like these people that made that decision to wait later in 2026, those leases are going to be up and they're going to be ready. So kind of creating that excitement, I guess. But what's your instinct on that? What would you tell somebody that maybe you talk to them and you probably have this conversation often, but what does that wait strategy look like for you, I guess?
Yeah, so like if someone says that they're in a lease and they're just not quite ready.
Yeah, or even if they're not in a lease, right? And they just say, hey, I don't think I want to do it right now.
Yep.
What's your approach look like on how you coach through that?
Yeah, so anytime that someone reaches out to me, I start by having a buyer's consultation with them, a sit down or a Zoom if they're not local, and just start talking about kind of their wants and their needs and their goals. Because sometimes people will come and say, well, we're not going to buy for a year.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Call me in a year.
Yep.
But sometimes as we're talking and really going through answering questions, they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't wait a year.
Yeah.
So I always think that the right time to move is when it really is the right time to move for someone. And,
no doubt.
I am with you that the last couple of years have been, let's wait and see. But now we're getting to the point that people no longer want to wait and see. And the next baby has come and a dog and you've ran out of space.
Right.
And the house that you could have bought 2 years ago is now $40,000 more.
Right.
So I never want anyone to feel pressured into buying. It's more just let's really chat through your scenario and what makes the most sense.
And I think the important piece on how you're educating on that is you're not into an immediate like aggressive sales position. You're simply hearing them out on what they want and then educating them on what is available, whether it's a financing product to bridge that gap or whether it's just the nature of the market and what's available from a price standpoint, whatever it may be. And if that triggers in their mind, then like maybe I could do this sooner than I thought, you're going to guide them through that, right? But you're also, if they're, dead set after your meeting that like, hey, 12 months from now is when it's time, I probably imagine you have a pretty elaborate follow-up process to stay in touch with them over the next 12 months.
Right.
to make sure that, we can help them on their timeline, right?
Yes.
We never want it to be a pressured sales approach.
Right. Yes. And that's what I always tell my clients is I'm just here to be a resource of knowledge and to give you best case scenario, worst case scenario, and everything in between, and they'll make the decisions from there.
Right.
But yeah, there's just, I think most people don't buy and sell houses every day. So it can be intimidating if you've never done it or you think, oh, my credit score is not so great.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's just find out. Like no one's here to judge you. Let's just find out how we can make this a better process for you.
And the more time we have, arguably the better it goes, right? Like, because it gives us time to help navigate that. And if you're not in the right position now, it gives us time to plan for that so that we can get you in the right position. Right. So, for everybody that doesn't know, you do work in Iowa and Illinois. Yes. Would love to have you compare the two.
Sure.
How does that compare from a client standpoint? Is there a big difference when you buy in one state versus the other?
And that's been a really interesting transition from 2010 till now. When I first was licensed, I knew it was important to have the license because we're a 10-minute drive across the bridge. And the last thing I wanted was someone to move to the Quad Cities and say, well, I'm only looking in Iowa, and then say, well, actually, I want to look in Illinois, and then I have to refer it to someone else. Right. Seems silly. But back then, it seemed like Illinois people stayed Illinois, and Iowa people stayed Iowa.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. And it used to always be that taxes in Illinois were so much higher.
Sure.
But now it's really switched where I have so many clients that are looking on both sides of the river. I have clients that will sell in Illinois and want to move to Iowa for whatever reasons. Yeah. But I also have a lot of buyers that will look on both sides of the river because your money does stretch a lot further in Illinois. Okay. So you might get more square footage or more updates. Gotcha. Taxes might be a little higher, but they're willing to pay that monthly difference for a nicer house. Sure. It used to not be as competitive on the Illinois side, but right now there's more inventory in Iowa than in Illinois, which I have not seen in my career. So that's kind of something that's been different. But yeah, they're similar markets because they're so close, but then just some differences between laws and taxes and that kind of thing. So if someone's on the fence, I tell them, let's just keep the auto email in Illinois and Iowa and just decide which one's better for you. Yeah.
And it's, I tell people this all the time is that it's not necessarily about what you want or what the market allows. It's the client, right? And what they're looking for. And I think that circles back to that buyer's consultation you do on day zero and identifying what they're looking for. And if somebody tells you that like payment is the most important, then you maybe would tell them like, hey, taxes are going to be a big role in that. Maybe we look at Iowa, right? Versus Illinois. So I think that's good feedback. And I'm actually really interested to, hear, I guess, if you have any insight into like, I wonder how, and if I'm putting you on the spot, I apologize, but how do you think the Quad Cities market would compare to, say, Des Moines, which is what my most exposure would be? Do you notice any differences, or do you talk to any agents in this market that you could compare?
Yeah, I do. What's interesting, because most of the agents in Des Moines are just licensed in Iowa, right? There's not, and that it is kind of hard to compare the two markets because I don't know, from a population standpoint, it's probably not that different. I would think if you take the full Quad Cities and then Des Moines, but then the state laws come in and the taxes, and so it's hard to compare the two. But I know that you have certain subdivisions or areas here that are super hot, kind of like Bettendorf is, and I know it's all school district driven and things like that. But they're two hard markets to compare, but I would say I think they're probably pretty similar in the grand scheme.
And from a national standpoint, both very affordable, right? Like incredible places to move. If you're hearing this and you're from the coasts or anywhere else, like we'd love to have you in the Midwest.
Yes, we'd love to show you a beautiful $300,000 house that you'll be shocked.
That you could, you could live you'd probably pay $1 million for in most other places. Right. But one of your more recent transitions that I'd love to give you an opportunity to share about is your brokerage change.
Yes.
So you're now affiliated with Real Brokerage.
Yes.
Would love to have you share what's kind of the heart behind that and what's kind of the vision for the future of that brokerage.
Yeah. So when my dad and I were working together, we had always planned on opening our own kind of little boutique style office, and he had the managing broker license, and he unfortunately passed away in 2019, and I just thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So then COVID hit. I had 2 babies back to back, and it was more like, okay, just keep swimming.
Just alive.
Yes. But then I started looking at, oh gosh, look at how much money I'm paying into my traditional brokerage. And it was a great place for me to start my career, and I spent 12 years there. But as the world changes and technology adapts, and now agents can be their own brand thanks to social media, that these big box brokerages, it doesn't quite matter as much. I know that when my clients hire me, they hire me because they want me. They don't care about what sign is in the yard.
Yep.
So when I knew that I was going to make a transition to leave, I started looking at every model from opening our own to Berkshire Hathaway to Compass to every model that you've seen or we didn't have.
Yeah.
And we just kept coming back to Real because it wasn't a one size fits all, which I loved.
Okay.
I have 2 little kids, so I can't work from home. I can't make a phone call at home without.
You could. It's just really loud.
It's just loud.
And distracting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted the traditional small, just brick and mortar place to come to. So we opened an office that's brokered by Real, but it's called Buy, Sell, Build QC. And then but we also have agents that can work from home. There's 2 other Real offices in the Quad Cities. You can switch around. So I just loved the beauty of the flexibility.
Yeah.
And you're not stuck in the traditional big office that no one's in.
Right.
Splits and technology and marketing and stocks and all these things that I previously didn't have been nice changes.
What would you say the biggest addition to like access for your clients? Like, is there any like main benefit that you've noticed that gives your clients a competitive advantage that maybe they wouldn't have had before?
Yeah, definitely just from the AI and marketing side of things. Real is a technology company that just happens to specialize in real estate. So from that perspective, I love that I feel like I'm giving my clients maximum exposure.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone like policing on commissions and splits and things. And so that's been a nice flexibility that I'm running my business how I want to.
And that's the core right there, right? Is like when people call Sara, they call Sara.
Right.
They don't really care about that brand or the logo or anything that's affiliated with it. And it's no different than our group, why we go by Key Mortgage Group, right?
Yes.
Nobody would know that technically that's not a company, right?
Yeah.
It's just our brand, it's our people, and that's the root behind it. And you know, my boss John is a big business partner of yours, I know, and he's the reason why I work where I work, you know. And I think that it's the people, right?
Yeah,
and
the people.
it's your, you know, as much as you're an independent agent, right? You probably affiliate and, you know, feed off of your coworkers and your people in your office too. And how important is that, you know, to have somebody that is like-minded and focused on the trajectory that you want to go to.
Completely. Yep. That's been the biggest change is just the collaboration and the culture and the people that I work with. And it's kind of sky's the limit. So it's really been fun to watch it grow the last 2.5 years. When we joined, there were 8,000 agents with Real, and now there's 31,000. So, and I
tripled
hope
in size in 2.5 years, right?
Yeah. So
or
really,
maybe more. So
yeah. So pretty amazing. So I think we'll continue to watch the growth both in Quad Cities and Midwest and throughout the country of just a great real estate option.
So cool. Talk through, so at this time, so this will be posted probably late January, early February. So anybody that's listening to this, what's your tone heading into the rest of 2026? Is it any different than years prior, or what's kind of your approach from a real estate coach standpoint? How would you advise a client if you were to talk to them today?
Yeah, so we all know how COVID was and how insane of a market that was. And although it was fun to be a listing agent because I'm just the hero and there's 10 offers, that was a crazy time.
Right.
And not normal, of course.
Of course.
I think the Midwest is a little bit slower to catch up to the rest of the country.
Okay.
Even 2022, 2023 were crazy, great years. I noticed that 24 and 25 were different. It felt like we just went back to a more normal market, 2017, 2018, kind of those vibes again. I think 2026 will be a busier year than the last 2. And not that we're going to see 3% rates or anything like that.
How fun would that be, though?
Woo, look out.
Yeah.
We won't have time for podcasting. It'll be,
well, I'd have to make time. But,
that's right.
so
I think it's going to be busier. I think some of the pent-up demand of the people that have been waiting the last 2 years aren't going to continue to wait.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll see a little bit lower rates, but I don't think that'll be a drastic change.
Yeah, and I think that it could be two different sides, right? Like if we do see some further rate improvement, you're really going to see an increase. And even if it doesn't improve, and we've already seen improvement, like that's definitely something that's already taken place. But I think you hit the nail on the head with the people that are pent up and for the last 2.5 years have really wanted new real estate, whether it's a first-time home buyer or even somebody who's looking to move up or down for that matter. They're just kind of accepting that this is what it is.
Right.
And shelter is still a very essential service in people's lives, right? You need a place to call home. And so what we would encourage people listening is let's make this happen. Let's help. Let us help guide you through what that process looks like and make 2026 the year that you call this, your future, because that's, we can't time the market. Right.
Right.
So I think that's really good. What else? Anything else that you can feel or that you feel inclined to share? Honestly, I don't remember what time we started, but
I don't either.
Would love to kind of just give you the floor, I guess. Is there anything in particular that you think is important for people to hear?
Gosh, I think really it's just creating a relationship with people that you know and trust.
Yeah.
And that's from, if you're a buyer looking for an agent and a lender, talk to multiple people. You shouldn't just call one person and think, okay, I'm fine with them. Or if you aren't happy with who you're working with, unfortunately, there's a lot of not so great realtors and not so great lenders in every, I don't know, anywhere. So yeah, I would say that if you're uncomfortable with who you're working with, that you should make a call and find someone that you can trust maybe jive with a little bit better.
No doubt. Yeah, I think that the thing that I've kind of come to terms with over the 10 years I've been doing this, and you've got another 6 years on me, but I think that there's a quick realization that there's a lot of places people can go to get representation from a lending and a real estate standpoint. And my hope is, Bobby and I actually talked about this prior episode, but we pretty quickly realized that we're not the right fit for everybody. Like there's going to be people that are going to be better fit to work with someone else. But the cool part is there's enough business to go around too, right. And more importantly, we just want to help as many people as we possibly can. But more importantly, that you feel comfortable with working with us, right? And that you trust us as experts because we have put in the work to become the trusted experts in our field of craft. And we feel very confident in the processes that we've built and the systems that we put in place to help make it a 5-star experience for our people that we interact with. So I would tell you that that's kind of correlated aligned with what we've done as well. So, well, this has been good. I'm excited for 2026. I'm excited for you. Yes. You've built an incredible brand over there, and I think that it's frankly the only beginning. I don't know how long you want to do this, but you've only scratched the surface on your potential, and I can speak, third party through rumors that I've heard. Yes. We do have a mutual client, I guess, technically right now.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
At some point we'll probably work together, but just excited for what you've done over there and your continued growth and success. And more importantly, thank you for supporting our crew. I know how much you pour into the Key Mortgage Group brand and just supporting our endeavors that we go through on an annual basis. And we couldn't do it without you. So thanks for your support and coming over, and hopefully that people that listen to this that are supporters of Sara, if you guys see this and want to follow along, be sure to subscribe. But also if there's somebody that doesn't know who Sara is and is looking to buy or sell real estate in the Quad Cities area, she'd love to be a resource for you guys. I'll be sure to link all of her information below as well. Social media, follow along with her because she's a valuable resource. So this has been fun. Anything else you want to say?
Nothing else I can think of. Just thank you for having me and for all that you do, both in the community, podcast, all these things. Yeah. Well, thank you again for being a resource. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been another episode of Educating Homebuyers. We'll see you guys next time.